Hey everyone, welcome back to the Get Shit Done show.
And find us on Twitter, #GSD show.
Okay, so we talked about assembling a list. We talked about getting ready to do some outreach. Now we gotta kind of take the first step, which is to even get somebody to open our email. That's a whole art and a challenge in itself.
Yep.
Let's dive right in. So what we're going to cover in this section is number one, why the subject line is so important of your email and why it takes a lot of time and thought and energy to really nail subject lines, and also why it's worth it. Second thing is creating intrigue. The subject line is really about getting somebody excited to open that message, getting them feeling like there's something valuable inside of it. And so we'll talk about how to really nail this, and finally how to take a more scientific approach to sales and how to start testing some of this stuff and learning based off your own experiments. All right.
Why does this matter in the first place?
Why is the subject line so important? Blake, you write a ton of sales emails.
Yes.
Why should we care about the subject line? Why should we invest so much time in it?
Yeah, and well, I mean, why are we doing it to begin with? I mean, we're doing this to get more sales meetings, right? I mean, we're writing emails as a way to schedule a sales meeting and to get interest. With an email, the first thing that someone looks at is the subject line. You're going to lose someone right off the bat if the subject line is not interesting or misleading or not relevant. So
15 minutes to chat.
Yeah. Quick question or quick cue, I mean, you're going to lose people right then and there. That's the first thing someone looks at, and then it's either going to go into delete or just unread.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about intrigue. It's all about getting people's interest. So when you think about creating intrigue inside of these, what are some ways that you think about making that subject line intriguing? What are some specific techniques that you've used?
So you can be, there's a little bit of element of cleverness, but then there's also giving a little bit of what you're offering away, but not everything. So make it either a question that's missing the missing piece, make it a statement that's, the missing link, almost just like write a sentence of value and then take out the thing that provides the value.
I think you can also do some personalization here too.
Yeah.
I think people even recognize their own name.
Yes.
They recognize certain things that are around them and that they're aware of, right? So there's, I don't know that I know everybody always wants the magic silver bullet. I don't know that there actually is one here, but I think if you consider it from the perspective of, what are things that catch your attention in your day-to-day as you're going around and you see different advertisements or different things that ask interesting questions and you want to know more about, appreciate those things and try to draw inspiration from a lot of places where you're trying to create intrigue, get somebody really curious about something, and also making clear recognitions of things that they already know.
Yeah, I mean, what are some subject lines that, you've stopped to read from various vendors or places that you've shopped and you're now on their email list? Think of that and kind of replicate it in your own way.
So for me, I'm kind of like a digital marketing geek. I like, internet marketing, and I read a lot about it. And
You're a total geek.
Total geek.
Total.
I subscribe to different stuff online, but I got an email the other day that really stood out to me, and I thought it was intriguing. The subject line was, boom, here's how you get traffic and convert it.
Who doesn't love a sound effect in an email?
Okay, sound effect.
Yeah.
So boom stood out to me early on, and I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then I'm also like, well, how do you do it?
Right.
It left me actually asking myself that question of what is the secret? What is the
What's
tip?
the dynamite?
What's the trip?
What's causing the boom?
Boom goes the dynamite.
Boom goes the dynamite.
But I was curious. But that's just one example of how to actually create that intrigue and how to write something. I've seen other people say write somebody's problem and the solution, and then just take out an important part.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of different little tactics that you can do in here that'll really resonate with people, and that'll start to give you things to test. But to my earlier point of, unfortunately, like all things, there's no magic bullet. There's no specific one that we can recommend that we think is going to work best for you or your situation or your context. So how do you think about taking an approach to measure what works over time and to consistently get better at this?
Well, I think this is what you said before, kind of bringing a scientific approach to this process. I mean, try to A/B test your subject lines versus the content and see what's working, what's not working.
And what do you use to do that? How do you actually do it?
So actually, HubSpot Sales has something called template reporting. and it can tell you, this template got an open rate of 50%, whereas this sales template only got a 20% open rate.
So you can literally test each of your subject lines against each other and
Yes.
see what the open rate on each one is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think the process here is write subject lines that you think are intriguing, write subject lines that you feel like are personalized, and then send them a bunch out. Test them, see what's working, and optimize them over time and continually get better. That's really the only way to do this thing at scale and to set yourself up for success.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to go outside your comfort zone and be bold as long as you're appropriate. I mean, like a sound effect or something different like that every time. I mean, there isn't really a lot that you shouldn't try. I mean, why not, just apply a scientific approach so that there's no guessing. I think that's the hardest thing, is that there's a guessing game, and that's not really efficient.
100%. So that kind of wraps up like how to think about subject lines and how to really crush that. Next session, what we're going to do is we're going to get into how to actually craft the body copy of that email so that somebody will actually have an opportunity to respond to you.
And we'll talk about content. See you then.